Welcome everybody to another video. Today I'm going to be going over Veteran Crypt of Hearts. This is actually one of my favorite dungeons in the game, so I'm actually pretty excited to be doing this. So let's get right into it. Today is my group. It's going to be T-Pain, who's going to be our tank. Crush is going to be our healer. Amber our DPS, and myself as DPS as well. So to start off this dungeon, we're just coming up here to the first set of ads. Fairly easy group, AoE everything down. Super simple. Most pulls are going to go that way, honestly. Tank's going to go in, get everybody grouped up nice and pretty, and then everybody gets AoE down. And it's just going to be more of the same for these next couple pulls. So we're coming up here to our first boss. He is not a requirement when you're doing the veteran Undaunted pledge. However, if you're trying to go for a speed run or a no death run, you have to get this boss. Now the way we do it, because we have enough DPS for it, is we just ignore pretty much all the ads. We kind of try to AoE down the healers that he has here at first, but for the most part we concentrate on just taking him down. The most dangerous thing about him is his donut AoE there. As you can see, Amber unfortunately was not able to get out of it because it does actually slow you down a significant amount when you are standing in it. So unfortunately she died there, but that's no biggie. Crush revives her and we're good to go. And then we continue to concentrate on taking down the boss. However, he does have two ads, as you can see in the back there, and they're summoning a Atronach. If you feel that's going to be any kind of problem, or if it does cause you any kind of problems, feel free to stop DPSing down the boss and taking down those ads before they summon the flesh Atronach. Or I guess fire Atronach, it's hard to tell. I don't know what it is anymore. But yeah, if you find yourself having issues with this particular boss, just go ahead and do that. It might take a little bit longer to get the boss, but it's not that big a deal. It might make it a little cleaner for everybody involved. But again, we normally just ignore everything and just concentrate on boss, and then we move on after all that's nice and done. Next is going to be the sets of halls, and it's just again more ads. You're going to have ogres in this one. The ogrims, if you DPS down fast enough, you can actually prevent them from summoning his two ads. We're not able to do that, but which is okay. It's only going to summon the two ads, and once you get them down, it's pretty much easy peasy from there. So I'm just going to keep fast forwarding straight throughout this hallway. Alright, now we're coming up to the second boss, which I call Spider Lady. I can never say her name, it's too hard. Now for this boss, the first thing we do is kind of pick a quadrant outside the circle that she's standing in, because she's going to lay down a red AoE that follows you around, and it's very important that you're able to kite that and keep that away from the rest of your group members. Now I'm going to pause it here real quick just to show that the tank needs to make sure that she is being pointed at all times away from the rest of the group. And the reason for that is because of that lightning that you see right there. She's going to shoot out a wave of it in front of her, and it can do quite a bit of damage, so you definitely don't want that hitting you constantly. So when you're doing this fight, make sure that she is being pointed away from everybody at all times. The next thing you're going to look out for is her ground lightning AoE, and she's going to drop that randomly at anybody and it'll follow you around. You can see it's going to fall on Crush right there, and he's just going to kite it around. That way he and the rest of us are not stuck inside of it. Spider Lady's also going to randomly cocoon somebody. When that happens, just go ahead, call it out, and make sure that you get taken out of it as fast as possible. And we DPS her down way too fast, but she does summon these spiders, and normally you're going to have to AoE down the spiders, but we did not get a chance to do that here because we just finished her too fast. But if the DPS just isn't there, it's okay. Make sure that she is being pointed away from everybody, and then just AoE spiders when they show up, go back on her. Make sure you kite away the red AoE when it does land on you, and you're good to go. Next, we're coming up to another boss in this skeleton room. I know that a lot of people can and will just completely ignore this particular boss by running past him once the door opens. We don't, just because we do like to kill everything for the most part. But he is fairly easy. All he really does is he summons a red ghost that fears you. Just free yourself from the fear, and then just AoE him down. He does summon some skeletons as well. If you do not have the DPS for it, they might eventually overwhelm you, but otherwise, if you just AoE everything down as they summon up, they shouldn't be too much of a problem. And he's fairly easy to take down. And continuing on, actually in this next room that you come into, there does tend to be chests behind the 2 stone pillars, so always check behind them just in case. You might find something good, you never know. Other than that, it's just going to be kind of a long hallway continuing on with some more pools, nothing too fancy or interesting. Now the next boss that is coming up, it's going to start off with these 2. They're not quite bosses. I believe they're bosses in the normal dungeon, but one is a fire Daedra and the other one is a lightning Daedra. Now you have the option of which one you're going to DPS down. We normally do the fire one just because I believe the first time we ever did this together, we just did the fire, and it's just something we've done ever since. You can DPS down the lightning one instead. I think some of his attacks are a little bit different if you DPS down the lightning one. I just think he does lightning-based attacks if you do. I'm not sure what that entails because I've actually never done it before. But for us, we do the red one. We DPS him down pretty quickly, and we'll summon the Bone Colossus, as you can see here. Now, when he initially gets summoned, he's going to stomp the floor, and that's going to make a red AoE around him. You cannot block that, so if you're within it, it's going to definitely knock you down. He's going to summon skeletons, which you can AoE down pretty easily, so they're not too much, but when they do die, they explode, as you saw right there, in a red circle, and they can't knock you back. This is what we call the Rain of Fire, and he's going to just, as the name implies, rain down fire right in that area like that. He's going to summon another set of skeletons, which just kill them, and then get right back on boss after that phase is through. Normally we DPS him fast enough that we don't have to worry about this next phase, which is he summons 2 caster skeletons. We just stick on him and keep DPSing him till he's in execute phase. He rains down mini lightning as well. It's not as big of a deal, honestly, as the Rain of Fire, so we completely ignore that. If you do find yourself having trouble with him, though, you're probably going to need to DPS down the ads that he brings out. Otherwise, I'd say just stick on him and get him down, and you'll be good to go from there. So these next set of ads is more of the same. Get him nice and grouped, AoE him down, and then before you know it, you're going to be to your next boss. Now, for this next boss, the tank really doesn't have to get involved. They can run in at the beginning and drop down their ult, but then they can just peace out and run all the way to the back of the room. Now, the reason we do this, at least, is because she has an attack where she's going to place like a black AoE under the player and around the platform she's standing on. This has the potential to one-shot everybody in the group, because if you overlap these circles, they will one-hit KO you. So what we end up doing is spreading out around the platform she's on and kind of picking a quadrant, and that'll be our safe zone to roll into when the time comes. Until that happens, though, the only things you really have to look out for when fighting her are the red fire circles she places just kind of anywhere on the platform. And then she's also gonna channel an attack that you can bash, but if you don't, it's going to be just a big circle of magic where it looks like it's purple tumbleweeds are coming out of it. And again, if you don't bash it, it's not that big a deal because you are able to pretty easily avoid that. And other than those attacks, she's really not that hard to beat. The real issue is only those black circles. If you do not get out of them you can all wipe. And we do wipe on this boss on our first try, just because it was unfortunate that she placed them in areas where we were supposed to roll to, and then we didn't properly call it out and change our directions, and instead we ended up wiping. But it's okay, we just do it again. This time we kind of spread out a little bit more than what we normally do, and we properly DPS her down this time, and we don't have any kind of shenanigans on her end on our second go around. But that's why it's kind of important to kind of pick where you're going to roll, let everybody know where you're rolling, and if something does change, let everybody know that it changed. That way you can kind of try to reposition yourselves and hopefully not lose anybody. Now the video for the last fight here is different just because I had to re-record it because the video feature on the last one unfortunately got messed up. But anyway, moving on. So you touch the Ebony Blade to get the fight started. Now it's going to seem like there's a lot going on in this fight at first, and trust me, I was overwhelmed the first time I did this. It just takes practice and knowing the cues for his attacks so that you know how to react and what phases come next. So the first major thing he does is going to be his Lich Crystal phase here. I normally have Rapids on just to help everybody maneuver out of these AoEs easier. Otherwise, we're always concentrating on getting him down. After his Lich Crystal phase, he's going to teleport randomly to a player, and he's going to have an AoE that explodes around him. Luckily, it's pretty simple to just either walk out of it or roll out of it, so you're not going to be caught in it too much. Next is he's going to summon adds, as you saw there. Depending on your DPS, you're either going to leave them up or you're going to need to AoE them down. Normally, we don't do that anymore. We just leave the first set that comes up and we just keep DPSing them down. At around 40%, we slow down because we need a second set of adds up to get the gold key. Now, the last thing he does is what we call his skull, where you will see him charging up an attack, and he's going to randomly hit a player with it, and that skull is going to knock you back. Now you can either roll out of the way to dodge this or block it. It's up to you what you want to do. But once that's done and your second set of adds comes up, you're going to DPS him down to 35%. That's where he's going to start his last phase of this fight. He's going to go to the center and get the Ebony Blade. You have to time it when you need to start DPSing down the wraiths, because if you do it too soon, you don't get the gold key. But once you get that out of the way, he's going to stun everybody and randomly pick a player to kill. If you're lucky, it's either the tank or the healer, because then the DPS can get him down through his shields and save that player from dying. If you don't do it in time, that player dies automatically. Otherwise, once that phase is done, he's an execute phase, so you just get him down as fast as you can. You might have to go through another series of him stunning and picking a player. Hopefully you don't have to, but if you do, that's okay. Just remain calm and get him down as fast as you can. Otherwise, that is it for this dungeon. I hope you all learned something new today. Look out for my next video, which I will hopefully do soon, and I won't take months to get it done this time. But until then, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.